Hey, welcome back to Whitetail Garage. This weekend, we're not working on my stuff. We're going to work on this truck. We're down here to work on another truck. And it's going to be replacing a bed cover. And you know, on my channel, we've had a couple of pretty popular videos on bed covers showing a few different things and the back and forth on Retrax versus Roll Lock. And this truck, Super Duty, has a Roll Lock XT. That's the electric. It's their flagship model. It has the T-tracks for you to put stuff over the top of it. I'm gonna give you some close-ups, but the finish on this Roll Lock product is ridiculous for how much this thing costs. And go look it up. Their flagship, their most expensive model. I want to show you the finish on this thing. And that finish alone is enough for me to say I'm not buying Roll Lock products. Unless they can fix this finish and prevent it from looking like this, it's ridiculous. I would not want that product. So my vote is Retrax. Before I knew about this truck, it was kind of Chevy versus Ford. You know, they've each got their fine points. Just depends on which one you want. After seeing this, if their most expensive multi-$1,000 product ends up looking like this, I'm absolutely not interested in the product. So let me give you a close-up, take a look at this, and then we're going to video us swapping out this Roll Lock for a Retrax. So I hope it shows up for you. But all of this marking, this is not like bird droppings or dust. This is the finish. The finish has come out on this thing just absolutely terrible. Like, that's dirt, right? That'll wash off, and this doesn't. When you wash the truck, it comes out and this kind of goes away, and it'll look black for a little bit, but then it starts to, this corroding as soon as it gets solid dry after a couple of days or whatever, then all of a sudden it comes back out. It looks terrible. Absolutely ridiculous for how much this unit costs for you to have to deal with this finish. Absolutely ridiculous. So you get a good look at it, you can see it's unacceptable. I mean, it's not crazy bad, but it's pretty bad. And that I'll double check once he gets out here what the age of this thing is, but it's not very old at all. How old is this bed cover?
2 years.
2 years old. 2-year-old product, and it looks like that. It's just ridiculous. Let me just for comparison, we'll go look at this Retrax. It's not that old. It's a year old, but a Retrax product. It's not electric, but it's an XR, right? Retrax XR over here on Tallulah, and the finish is still perfect. Finish is still exactly like it was when I bought it. The exact same finish. It hasn't faded, it hasn't cracked, hasn't caused that problem. In fact, you can kind of get an idea of the age just by how much this logo has kind of faded and gotten old, right? And I've got some chips and things from the way I use the product, but there's no tarnishing like that. It still looks nice and new. So I'll get you a close up on that as well. So you can see, like, we got dust and dirt and debris in the crevices, but it's not tarnished. It's not like, looks like corroded or faded. And you can see, that one's not in the sun, but you can see this one's much shinier. That one is super faded on that. I mean, and you don't really get I mean, these actually hold up pretty darn well in the sun, but they'll get pretty faded. These ends will get pretty faded over time. And like I said, you can kind of see how the sticker's not bright and shiny anymore. Kind of shows its age a little bit there. But again, not the same kind of problems. So, all right, so what all problems have you had with it?
Well, other than the corrosion, it would hang up about halfway. And so I'd have to push the button to close it again or start the process again and then hit it again, which is a pain in the butt when I have got the fifth wheel in there, or the fifth wheel hitch.
And so you have to keep hitting the button for it to do what it's supposed to do?
You have to basically reset it.
Okay.
So you would start it, and let's just try it, see if it does it. It hadn't done it to me today,
But it does it pretty often.
it's been doing it more and more. Yes.
Okay. Has it always been that noisy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's normal operation.
And the operation's just a one touch, right? You're not holding it?
No, yeah, just a
And this was the like key fob remote, but you put a mount there
Right.
to permanently mount it in the bed.
Normally it would hang up right there, but it didn't.
Okay. You did hear it kind of click though. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious what that was.
I've been through 3 of these.
Yeah.
No fault of roll and lock. I mean, I think that was the shipper, I think.
Okay.
And they were damaged. But one of them, the very first one I installed, with the case being cracked, it has a fold over, and there's very tight tolerances in there. So that's what I have a feeling this is probably doing, is that it's probably trying to hit inside the case, and it stops it. So any resistance at all, it's a safety deal, right?
Yeah.
So any resistance at all, it stops.
Okay.
So then I have to push the button, kind of start it back that way again, and then hit it again.
Okay. So the 3 issues you had weren't failures with a otherwise good product. It came in damaged.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Okay. And so this is the last one you had. Didn't come in damaged, but you're still having that one issue with it.
Yeah.
A mechanical function. And so what's the knob for again? That's an override for.
Yeah. So if the electric fails on it, you pull this, and it basically makes it manual.
Okay. Okay. And how do you lock it if you don't?
That I don't know. I've never done it.
Okay, so that's almost like an emergency override, not normal function use
Right.
though at all.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Emergency override where you could actually open it. And
Yeah.
It was.
Okay, interesting. Do you have a light installed under there? Or is that
That came on it.
Oh, it came on it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's another button you can press on that guy to turn on the light.
Correct. Yeah. So it's got.
Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't even know it had that feature.
Most of the time, there's too much stuff in there for it to.
So where's the power wired?
It runs to the battery in the truck, so
Okay.
it ducks down underneath the cab of the truck. And
Okay. And where'd you poke through the bed?
I didn't. I went through one of the a hole and went down through the post.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fell through the post in the corner. Do the instructions tell you to do that, or
Yeah.
did you find that?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, the installs of these are really, really, really straightforward, but they're slightly different, but virtually the same from brand to brand. So we'll work to install this. We'll take y'all along. This isn't exactly going to be a how-to, but we'll take y'all along on the
My
journey.
biggest complaint was the corrosion.
Yeah.
I mean, I could deal with the kind of finicky. I mean, that probably would have gotten worse over time, but the corrosion started from almost day one.
Yeah. And I was noticing this to me feels like it's also faded. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
So it's not only corroded, but the finish has faded. Like
Yeah.
I felt like it was shinier than this.
It was. Yeah.
And so you've had Retrax products. Have you also had roll and lock products, or is this the only roll?
Very first one I've ever had.
Okay.
The Retrax, I should have gone with that one from the beginning. I had a Retrax on my Raptor for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Bought it new. Bought the Retrax new. Put it on the Raptor. Had it for probably 5 or 6 years. Gave it to you. I think you ran it for another year.
Yeah.
And then traded the truck in with it.
Yeah. And so the install that y'all
Zero maintenance, zero issues with.
y'all see on my channel, that is the roll and locks moving to a Retrax. I got that Retrax off of his Raptor, and so that's what he's talking about. And so my roll and lock, I told y'all before, mine was the. Let me get this situated a little better. Mine was the manual roll and lock with the vinyl top. It came on the truck. I don't know what the age was on the truck, but it didn't look old. It looked like it was in good shape. But I kept having alignment issues. It was hard to move it in and out. And I've got kind of a medical condition that I haven't really covered on this channel, but it made it hard to get the cover in and out. And even just that motion of having to pull the strap to pull it back, and the fact that the roll and lock by design is like once you unlock it, it tries to pull itself open, like kind of by design. And so you're supposed to kind of lightly tap it, and it'll open itself all the way up. You kind of hang onto that strap and you move it to the side of the bed. You load your contents, and then you grab that strap and you pull it closed. All of those actions caused me a lot of pain. And it's not that they're like really heavy actions or hard actions. It's just those particular motions with my situation caused me some pain. And so I was able to swap with him and move to the Retrax. And the reason I like the Retrax, and that's what I showed in that channel, is that right here, grabbing that opening and pulling it closed on the Retrax was so much simpler for my situation. And so that's what I started out with, just like they are different in these ways, and I liked the Retrax way better. The Retrax is on all ball bearings, and so it's a really smooth action, and you don't have to service it. The roll and lock, it actually has it in the instructions. They don't run on ball bearings, and you have to service, you have to lube those channels to make sure you get smooth action. And that may have been the problem all along, was maybe mine wasn't serviced well enough for the life of it. And so by the time I got it, it was already, a little harder to pull and getting out of alignment. Maybe that was the issue. I'll give them that. But like I said, the big issue here is that finish on this one, on their flagship model. It's just unreasonable. It's ridiculous in my opinion. Let's dig in. We'll start taking this thing apart, and y'all can watch with us. So first, taking out these screws, and then what? The screws in the middle?
No, those are part of the
Those stay.
deal.
Okay, so you're taking out that screw on either side, and it slides back with this little key right here. So that's why you only have the screw in the back, because this one's keyed. And that's going to give you access to all these screws. Again, we're doing this in reverse order, obviously, right? We're uninstalling this one, and then we'll reinstall the Retrax, which, by the way, is right over here. Get your part number on this one. He didn't go electric on this guy. So this is the XR. It's the same one that's on Tallulah.
Super Duty version of what I had on the Raptor.
Yeah.
That I had
So you've got the T slots, because he uses that. He's got a couple of different racks, bike rack and a big rack to put coolers and stuff up top. So he definitely uses the T-Track. I got the T-Track. I don't have a use for it yet, but I got the T-Track just because, you invest the money, might as well get the option in case you need it down the road. Yeah, so this down here is an Allen key. And then these are tamper resistant. These don't come with the bed. This is a separate, or bed cover. This is a separate purchase, but that's what the T-Track gives you the option. All these different things you can strap to these different style connectors. And so he just leaves these on the truck, and he can put his bike rack on this, or there's a basket that sits in between all these, bunch of different things you can put on them. You can even get tall, like ladder racks and all kinds of stuff that'll mount on these T-Tracks. Unboxing this guy. And when you get these bed covers, by the way, they ship in 2 separate boxes. You get your rails in one big box, and then you get the cover itself in another box. And that's the problem with these. They're so big and heavy. I mean, not super heavy, but they're heavy enough. And they don't have much packing. And so that's what he was talking about. It took him 3 to get this, because if these land heavy on their ends, they bust. And in fact, the Retrax on that one, it came in broken. Just one of the ends was broken, and I called Retrax, and they got me a whole new can. They sent out a whole new can for me to replace it. So none of the guts, just the can itself with the 2 end caps. But right here is where mine busted on it, because it's a thin piece of plastic. You don't need a ton of material there to do what it needs to do when it's hanging in the bed, but when you drop it on its end, it's not great. And this is actually a perfect time to talk about my one complaint about Retrax. That's your drain hoses. So it's conduit, like wiring conduit, and so that's just it can trap water in there. That's going to get nasty. And then these, at least on mine, I suspect it's the same for all, they're slightly larger than they should be for that fitting right there. And so if you breathe on them, they fall out. And then that means your bed cover is draining rain right into your bed. And so that kind of defeats the point, right? And so Retrax, or Roll and Lock, that's one thing they definitely have. I'm going to zoom in the video here. They have a screw-in metal fitting with some nice smooth piping. And so that's the one thing I'll give you on a Roll and Lock that's better than a Retrax, is that. I bet if we went in there and looked right now, I bet mine have fallen. Let's go check just to prove my point. Well, you can't see, but I'll open this. Show you the action that I'm talking about. I'm just barely walking with it. You know, it retracts kind of on its own. And yeah, see, mine is falling. Both sides. So that's something I got to figure out and fix. I don't like that at all. It's very irritating. Luckily, I'm in Texas, and so it never rains. So, again, this motion, pulling it back on the ball bearing, it's just so simple to do. So even if you've got a condition like I do, it's just, you just walk it right down the thing without a big deal. So again, we're working backwards here, but there's the electrical connection right here. And this is run exactly like the instructions tell you to run it. Back across the firewall up there, and then down and under the truck all the way back to the post. So it's just hardwired into the case. There's no disconnect on that side. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it's hardwired, but it would be a nice, like, foresight to actually have that. If you just had to remove it to service it or something, it'd be a pain to have to completely unwire the whole unit. So we'll check that when we get there. So I think that's the one screw you have to remove from that holds the rail to the case. And so that's the one screw there, and then it's all of these that you have to remove. So he's over there on the opposite side removing that screw. And then
I gotta take the bracket thing off too.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Let me spin you around. So on that side, again, he's removed the screw from the front there. But on that side, you've got the brackets for that cable. So he's going to remove that right now. Yeah, I just noticed something else that's ridiculous on this. That is the seal between the cover, like when the cover's completely closed. That's your water seal along here. And look at how rotted out that is. This unit is 2 years old at best. And that looks like it's 10 years old or 20 years old. That's ridiculous. Wow. Okay, he's unbolting that from the bed. I've undone these. So there's two brackets that hold the cable on. And so next I'm going to start taking these Allen bolts out. All right, I think this rail is ready to come out. We've undone those. We've got 1, 2, and 3, and then the screw under here, and then on the passenger side you've got the cable. So yep, it's ready to come out. So we'll wait till we get full hands on it, but that guy is ready to slide out. All right, so another thing I'm not a big fan of on the Retrax, but again, you don't have to have it, is just the fact that the ends are metal or plastic, and you don't have really a full case. It's just these rods that go across and hold it. And then you've got a pan on the bottom for drainage. It just uses the back of the bed as closure for that, and then it has obviously the top that covers that, and then you've got the beauty side that you take this plastic off of, and then that'll be nice and shiny inside the bed. Whereas if you look at all of the rolling locks that I'm aware of, my manual one and this electric one, it's a full can, and it's a full aluminum can, so it's like a lot more protected, it feels like. But again, you don't really need it once it's installed. So we got the old one out. It's really straightforward. You saw us pull the rails, and then the can just sits up there. It's the rails that hold the can in. It'll be the same with this guy. Difference is the rolling lock, you can put the can in, and then you can put the rails on. This one, the rails, it sits a little lower. And so because of that, the rails have to be bolted on first, and then you set the whole thing on top of the bed rails. So we'll work on that next. All right, first step, remove all shipping materials. So it has this straw that runs down inside to keep all the bearings in the right spot. These are those roller bearings I was telling you about. And then you take this screw out of the end to get that bracket out. You got it? Just like that. And see, it's got a bearing that rides that direction as well as the two that ride that on the end. And then throughout the whole rest of the product, it has that other bearing. All right, so we've got both the rails on. That's the first step. Don't forget to unlock it. because if you don't unlock it, it's kind of tricky to get those rails to slide on with the lock in the way. But there's a ask us how we know. You got to you got to thread the cover over the rail, and then as you're doing that, you've got to get that little lip right there over the back side of this curved piece of, you're not looking at anything I'm looking at. You got to get that tab over this curved piece of plastic as you're threading the cover into the rail. And then 2 stainless steel screws in the side. There's not much that holds them on. It's all kind of just the fact that it's laying in the permanent structure of the bed that really kind of provides all the main structure to it, because you've got just a couple of screws here. You can see there's a set of screws around the outside of that, the plastic. There's just not much to them, but they work really well. Yeah, go up and over that, and then you could set it in there. It's just snug in those plastic parts.
I got my camo on for, WhitetailGarage.
Yeah.
You push or slide or what?
It's just because these kind of bow out slightly. It's just kind of, it's bound on those because it's a snug fit.
So we both grab one side.
Yeah. Yeah, you're on the wrong side of that there.
Okay, Puddin', hang on.
Watch it. There's a, yeah.
That was my funner. That was my funner.
While they're pushing that back, here's the back side of the adjustments you make to get it in where you want it.
Hang on. Come back forward with yours.
Come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of got to go at the same time. They don't only tweak so much.
That's close enough, brother. Now we got
Sweet.
stuff. Thank you very much.
So we had one slight hang up. So he has these built right racks on the back side. If you don't have those, it's not a big deal at all. You can see where he had to, for the last bed cover, he had to notch out the corner of that built right rack. These clamps that you have to have, they instruct you to put them right in between these adjusters like that. And so of course the built right rack is in the way.
Where do you suggest?
So he's going to use a cutoff wheel to cut off that side. Let's go over here and look. So don't forget your safety squints. I would say you take it all the way back to that edge. That way you don't have a loose like leg grabber or hand grabber. Just take it right to that edge and cut off this side of it. Done. Maybe next time use a vice grip to hold it before you make that last cut. You only have to go all the way up here. It's probably sharp and hot, by the way.
Yes.
Yes? It's an astute observation. There you go. That doesn't seem like that's really going to help you, though. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Done.
Still hot.
Still hot? One down, one to go. All right, both done. Now we got to get those in there. There's 4 of them total.
Are they all the same size?
Yeah, they're all the same. And then you just, right there and way down there, right there. It's got a few adjustments, like you can back out these screws and move this lip out further if you have to, and then this one, it goes in like that, and so you want it to snug up against the bottom of the I guess the inside ceiling of the bed rail, and then this you'll adjust out, the black stopper you'll adjust out to provide tension that way as needed. All right, so after you get the rails on, you get it up in the bed, before you slide it up against the cab, you got to put the top on it. And then the top has the weather strip seal all the way across the back. It's a trim to fit. So that seal is, something like that. And they want you to trim out that excess because you want to make sure that that weather strip sits down inside the plastic on the rail, and then you don't want it to stick out past that rail. Cool. All right, the next steps are to use the shipping bracket and that measures out about 1/8 of an inch on the very end of that, which is cool that they give you that. And you use that as a spacer, and you put that between the tailgate, and you want you want to push the whole cover, including the rails, back towards the tailgate, to where you use that so the cover's an 1/8 inch from the tailgate. So it's cool that they give you that as a tool, so that way you don't have to measure it out or find your own spacer. And then when you're clamping down, you're going to adjust and tweak these rails so that way you get the right angle, and they'll clamp down where this seal is actually effective as well. All right, just catching you guys back up. So when you're installing these, they want you to press down, give yourself about 2 degrees of a twist this way. That allows for runoff, that allows for a good seal on this seal here, but you obviously have to be square. So that measurement way down there has to be the same as the measurement way out here, right? Plus or minus 1/16 of an inch. Well, we just measured at the very front here at this bolt, basically, is position A. That's 59.5 inches. Right here, we're about 3/16 of an inch wider. And way down here, we're, what do we say, 1/4 of an inch wider. So 4/16 wider up here. And each one of these, so you have to take the clamps back off, and then you turn these Allen bolts. Each turn is 1/16 of an inch. So we've got 8 total that we have to turn. The front 2 here, we're going to turn 1.5 turns, and that'll give us that 3/16 of an inch across the span. And then over here, these will turn 2 turns on either side, and that'll give us the 1/4 of an inch span here. And then snug them all back down again, pressing down and doing about a 2-degree tilt here. What we're doing on ours is, this is the seal that hits the tailgate. We want the tailgate to basically have about that kind of gap with the weather strip, because that allows it to kind of, when you're opening and closing it, it'll give it this little kind of push, but it's not so much that it's hard to open and close the tailgate, but you're also not like a huge gap where water can easily pass through. So we make it where there's just like, you barely see any light, if at all, with it closed, but it's not flexing, it's not like that. You want to make sure you're not over stressing that seal. All right, so that's it fully installed. Like I said, I wasn't gonna walk y'all through the whole install. It's not really a how-to, it's kind of how we did. But paying attention here, this measurement is kind of your eyeball, right? So you want this seal to be kind of compressed the same the whole way down the rail, right? So you want that seal to be compressed the same. You want this to have kind of a 2-degree tilt if you can get it. And then you want this seal to only just touch the tailgate. And tightening here, you tighten these guys down good and tight. Here you just tighten this bolt down to where that rubber stopper is just firm against the rail, and then tighten that nut. And then of course, again, you want your measurement here, here, and here to be the same within 1/16 of an inch. And you should be all set. So let's do a maiden voyage run here, make sure we don't run into any issues. Nice and smooth. There we go. See, just showing close up on these, this little plastic clip constantly pops out of mine. And the fact that they're this corrugated, like, wiring loom or wire conduit, it's not split, which is nice, but still, that's just a place to trap water. Which, if you go back and look at the old ones, or not the old ones, but the Roll-and Lock ones, they're clear. You see how much crud gets in there even on a smooth hose. See, I think Roll-and Lock should have black hoses here, not clear ones, so that way you don't have to look at that nasty hose. So black is better, but I also don't want to trap a bunch of stuff in there. And then the fact that these don't stay in, at least on mine, we'll see what his experience is, but on mine, these don't like to stay in. Are you serious?
Yep.
Are you sure? He's saying the hole is not big enough. It doesn't fit in there at all?
It didn't fit in the drain hole. Not.
Okay, I was confused by what he was saying. I thought he said this was too big for the hole in the can, into the bottom of the can, but it's not. It's the the hole that's in his truck from those drain tubes. It's not big enough for these drain tubes, so he's popping those out, and we'll drill bigger holes. All right, guys. Well, that's where we're going to end it. We're still getting the drain plugs drilled. That's no big deal. We're going to step out that hole and route that through. You guys don't care about that. Everything else is done. Like I said, the measurement is the one thing that's a pain. We had to 3 times adjust it, where we measured, then did the adjustment. It was almost right, but just slightly off. Did one more adjustment, and then tightened it all down. So not too bad, but that's done. So, yeah, I just pretty disappointed in the Roll & Lock product. So was this guy. That's why I went ahead and spent another couple of $1,000s on a new bed cover. So drop us a comment. Let us know what you think, if you're seeing the same things with your Roll & Lock, and what you think about the Retrax. So that's what we're working on this weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.